Hello everyone, Happy New Year and welcome to Soul GPS. In this video, I wanted to give you guys some practical strategies in how to process faster the pain after leaving an abusive relationship or having woken up to the fact that you have been abused by your family or by co-workers, friends. Oftentimes it's a whole cluster of people most of your life, and you're now taking proactive steps and active steps in order to purge yourself off of the pain, off of that residue that's been trailing you, and make some steady progress. Before I get to the meat of the video, I just wanted to thank you all so very much for all of your letters, messages. I know I kind of vanished for December, during the time of December, from my YouTube channel. I did it partly on purpose. It was a really intense year for me ever since I started the channel, or actively started recording videos in May. My life changed in so many ways that I couldn't even begin to describe, and in a large way thanks to this channel, thanks to this content that I've been able to share, and also thanks to having met you all and having heard so many of your stories and having been able to both be validated and validate your stories. So I want to just extend my deep appreciation for that. And also, just a quick note why I did this. I did this as a form of my self-care practice as well. I felt like it was good for me to recenter, recalibrate, rebalance myself, and also spend some time nurturing some new relationships that have occurred as a result of this channel, as well as having reconnected with some older family members after my father's unexpected passing back in September. So I was able to travel to London and to New York, to Colorado, to California. I've been just feeling so blessed that I got to see all these wonderful people and have all of these new experiences. And actually, at the end of this video, I'm going to play you guys a quick clip from my London walk that I did about a month ago, and it was quite lovely, and I wanted to share that with you. But okay, let's get to the subject. So I wanted to give you a practical tool for dealing with pain. I'm a big fan of physics, as some of you may already know. Some of you who have been with me and watching my channel. So I love simple principles. I love simple equations that are elegant and that can be applied all across the scale, because we're physical beings. We're part of this universe. So obviously it's going to apply to us as well. And one of those really, really simple principles is the principle of balance, of internalizing and externalizing. So in and out. Everything moves in and out throughout the universe, throughout nature. We take in energy and we also put out energy. We take in the food, and then we're able to, perform all sorts of tasks, activities. We read information, we take up new data, and then we're able, by using our imagination, our minds, to come up with new ideas. So this is this concept of the internalization and externalization of the in and out movement that this content really centers around. And why is this important? This is important because during the relationship, during the abuse, you've been taking in a lot of the abuser's energy into you. And also what they have done is they have purposely injected their ideas, their way of thinking, and so on into your mind. So it becomes really difficult to kind of like untangle the two. Like, where do you end and they begin? And a lot of it, of course, deals with boundaries. And I do have that on my list to make a boundary video that's really in depth. And I will do that for you very soon. But before we get into the meat of this, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit around this subject, because it's very important. When we don't have boundaries, we tend to take in a lot of toxicity. We also take in nourishment, but oftentimes, inevitably, thinking, see, this is where the narcissist plays all these tricks on us, is that they can be so nice, they can do all these wonderful things, but then inevitably there's going to come this switch, this moment where they turn on us, when they become very toxic, when they become very mean. And for an empath, for a sensitive person, it can be very difficult to distinguish one from the other when it happens in real time. So we just take it all in. So it's just, again, we're generalizing, we're trying to come up with a bit of a model here, but that's what tends to happen. That's what happened to me. That's what happened to many of you that I have talked to. and so on. So we take it all in. So now, after, either if we're during the process of leaving the relationship, or we have already left it, we're already, in a safe harbor, we no longer have to deal with the abuse coming at us. Now we have all this weight, weight speaking figuratively, but it also can be literal, because abuse does affect our endocrine system. I actually made a video about this a while back, about the chronic fatigue syndrome. You can check it out. I'll link it down below. So we're taking all of that in. So I would say that one of the most crucial things that has helped me, one of the most beneficial tools that I have discovered during my own recovery, was externalizing. And it was externalizing thoughts, externalizing energy, externalizing words, ideas, just getting it all out, getting that stuff out so that new things can rush in. Right? That's the idea behind it, because the universe doesn't like vacuum. It tends to fill it. That's why our universe, which is vacuum-based, is filled with magnificent splendor of creation. And it's the same thing that will happen to us, that will happen to you once you purge yourself off of this. There's this really cool Zen koan I actually would like to tell you about. I love it, and I tell it to my friends oftentimes when I try to illustrate this point, because it's really effective. So the story goes like this. There's a man who's seeking enlightenment. And so he travels the world far and wide looking for the wise man, and he's hearing about this sage who has all the answers that he's seeking. So he finally gets a trace of him, and he climbs this mountain. It's pouring rain, it's muddy, and he perseveres, he goes, and he's almost at the edge of his own ability to withstand the challenge of his endeavor. But eventually he finds the place, he knocks on the door, and the sage opens, and he says, "I've been expecting you." And the man is like, "Wow, I really did find the right person." So he comes inside the house, he's welcome to come inside, and the wise man asks him, "Would you like some tea?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm starving, I'm cold, I'm wet, I would love to just relax, sit down and have some of your tea before, while you're telling me all of this wisdom," right? Because he can't wait, like he can't relax. He's like, I want to know the truth, I want to know the purpose of life, or whatever it was that he was seeking. So the sage tells him, "Please have a seat," and begins to pour him his tea. He puts a cup in front of him, and he begins to pour the tea. And as the cup fills up, steadily it goes up and up and up, and the man who's seeking enlightenment is watching the tea fill up, and then eventually reaches the rim, and the sage keeps pouring. And suddenly, like, this whole thing begins to spill all over the floor, all over the table, and the man's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And the sage looks at him and he says, "Your mind is just like this cup. You need to empty it before I'm able to give you new information." And this might seem maybe like a little bit of a rough koan right now for what you're going through. And I in any way intend to be tough with you or anything like that. But there is so much truth to this. And I'm only sharing this with you because that was one of the things that really worked for me the most, and it continues to do so, because even though I've been over a year past the big fallout, as I call it, the big disaster, there's still things that come up. There's still triggers, there's still flashbacks sometimes. And so I would say less so maybe flashbacks, but more so just triggers from the past. Somebody says something, or this or that happens, and I think about it, and I get an emotional reaction. So this helps. And so externalization, how can you externalize? What are some of the ways you can do this? So I made a list of a few here for you, and this is going to be either just solely a physical experience or solely mental experience, or a combination. Generally, if you purge something physically, then mentally you're going to feel much better as well, and as well as emotionally. So the four main domains of the human experience, which are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, are very much so linked. So if one moves forward, all of them get a boost, and if one gets congested, all of them tend to kind of lag behind and suffer. So here there are. First one is actually something that I talk about in my free course on my website, which you can download for free, and you'll find that was one of the practices that I recommend, and that is just shaking your body. It could be dancing, it can be running. If you find yourself having low energy, that's very normal. It took me about 2 months to get out of bed, literally, after what happened to me. Then just gentle stretching, going out for a quick walk, deep breathing. As you exhale, imagining all of that nastiness, all of that darkness, the density leave you. As you inhale, you bring in some fresh energy. So physical movement, I would say, is number one. So I have here working out. If you have the energy and the ability, and if you have been a little bit further down in your recovery, I would recommend boxing or kickboxing, because that can also help to get some of that anger processed. And many of us, empaths, we carry stuff from way, 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 way back. That stuff kind of attaches to us. And oftentimes it is so deep, it's so repressed, that we have the sentinel anger sort of be the guard to prevent us from reaching those deeper emotions. And so oftentimes when we get the anger out, we can get deeper in touch with some of the heavier stuff, such as grief, sadness, and so on. And so this is really important, because what we're talking about here is emotional fearlessness, right? And digging deep and purging your cup, purging your vessel off of things that no longer serve you. It's kind of like excising demons almost. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day after we did a really intense workout, and we're like, back in the day, when we were living tribal lives, this is what we would do, is we would dance around fire, we would scream, we would shout, we'd get this stuff out. Is because stagnant energy can feel really heavy, and it can manifest in negative thinking, bad habits, like 3 days of eating bagels, and then you begin to crave it. So, it's really important to keep moving that energy out so that new energy can come in, and then you'll notice you'll have better ideas. You'll be kinder to yourself and also kinder to your environment. You'll start noticing more blessings in your life and then attracting more of them into it. So anyway, shaking, dancing, working out, boxing, screaming. You may not feel like it, so deep breathing in this case, gentle stretching, yoga, all of these can definitely help. My favorite has been, and the one that's been most effective for me in my recovery, walking and talking. And I didn't have a friend to talk to, because most of the people that were around me didn't understand what I was going through. So I felt quite alone, but not in a bad way. It was actually empowering in the long term. Like, having been through this by myself and not having too many people to talk to other than my coach, who I talk to like once a month, sometimes twice a month, that's been actually incredibly empowering. And I know many of you guys talk about loneliness, you're concerned about this, but guess this is not going to last. Like, this stage will pass once you work through the things you need to work through on your own, because there are areas in which you don't really want to necessarily share with another person. This is between you and God. It's between you and the universe. It's between you and you. The most important relationship there is. So walking and talking, what do I mean by this? I would either talk to myself, just talk, walk and talk, as if there were two of me. I would have a dialogue. It's kind of like a dialogue between the person suffering, which is, the ego, the inner child, the wounded person, and my higher self, who already knew all the answers and was gently inviting me into, walking this new path. So what I also did later on is, and I mentioned this in some of my other videos, is I would use a recorder app on my iPhone. So I would walk and record like 5-minute vignettes every day, and then I would re-listen to them later on to check on my progress. But also these were good things to record. For instance, when I noticed abusive behavior with someone, I would record it and how I felt at the moment, to capture the emotion. So then later, when I was feeling better, I can look at that and come up with better ideas to process it or approach it. So walking and talking is great, because you're physical, you're breathing faster. It's a brisk walk. You're breathing faster, you're purging stuff already, you're inviting new energy in, but you're also mentally cleansing. And, emotions are kind of on the bridge between mental and physical. They're the link between the two. So you're getting an emotional healing as well. And it may not feel like a huge breakthrough if you do one of those. You might come back and still feel kind of crappy, heavy, it's just daunting, this thing, because this process takes a while. It takes a few months for many of us, sometimes years. Depends on how we approach it. But you might not, but trust me, like, you have actually processed stuff. You might just not feel it right away, but you've let go of things. So letting go in this way has been my favorite. Another favorite of mine that I know, I'm sure you've heard about, because all of us, on our channels here with respect to narcissistic abuse, we've been harping about this for ages, forever. Journaling. It's so good for so many things. Also, fantastic for externalizing, for getting your anger out, getting your sadness out, getting your tears out, but also to keeping a record of what had happened. Because in the moments when you may doubt yourself and doubt whether you should have left or not, you can go back to your notes and look at what you've been through. And remember this: love is supposed to feel good. And if you thought that this was love, but it felt like you were on the edge of, I don't know, plunging into the worst depression of your life, that's not love. That's something else. That's something to be examined. That's something to really be deeply looked at, why this happened, but also to be excised, to be uprooted and let go of, and composted and transmuted, so you can this way become an alchemist of your own life, of your own experience, get super empowered. But that's the work we have to do. Nobody's going to do it for us. So journaling is great for that, because again, it keeps a record, it's externalizing, but also you may notice new ideas coming in. Once you get bad ideas out, I mean, not bad ideas, but like bad thoughts, the daunting thoughts clouding your clarity, you also invite good ideas in. And maybe there's a book there. Maybe there's a story there you'd like to share with the world. Maybe there are new opportunities. Maybe there's something in between the lines that you haven't seen at the time when you were thinking it, but the moment your hand touches the paper, magic can happen. So I would really want to encourage you to do a regular journaling practice for yourself. What else do I have? I have speaking. Speech is so important. I think also one of the reasons why I've been able to move through this process as fast as I did is because I was making these videos and talking to you guys. I knew in my heart of hearts that my words were reaching the people that I really wanted to communicate to, and some others too. I got plenty of hate mail, but the most important thing is that the person who really feels like you're getting something from this that is needed for you. And I can feel that. I can feel it all across the world, on the other side. My body just feels better. I feel more space. My heart grows bigger, because I feel like this is an exchange of purity and love and generosity that is just, what I got out of this is so much more than I think I have ever given. It's been amazing. And you've been a part of this journey, so thank you. So that's one way speaking. I was speaking to you guys because there was no one really around me who could understand me. Then later I found some people to connect with. It was really helpful. Of course, my coaches, they've been immeasurably helpful. I wish I had a therapist nearby, but that was impossible. So I haven't really done that. It's still something on my list to dive into at some point. But also joining a forums, making comments on videos and replying to comments. What else? Writing articles and then hearing back from you guys and having that exchange. That's been really important. What's been really important, though, that I really want to emphasize is speaking to someone who really gets it, as opposed to someone who, has never been through this, because it's very difficult to understand. It's really difficult to relate to. This is such a monumental internal shift. It's such a mental twist. It is such an emotionally gut-wrenching experience, and it goes back all the way oftentimes to our childhood. So it's like almost no one can imagine this unless they've been through it. So just be wary of it when you talk to people. If you find that they're either defending the narcissist, or if they are just kind of like unsure what you're talking about and giving you that weird look, try not to take it personally. I wouldn't go any deeper, and find somebody who will get it, or just talk to your recorder like we did, and like I mentioned in the previous step. So that's another good one. And another idea here is to I think I more or less covered all of them, but I just had a note under there is this whole idea of creating space. This is all about creating space in your body, in your mind, to invite more clarity, to invite more insight. Because with insight is how we can move forward. With insight is how we get to know ourselves better. with insight is what takes us on a journey of self-discovery and connects us with this incredible asset that we all have called our intuition, which is going to help us take one tiny step at a time towards the life we were meant to live. So I really hope that this little video helped you. I hope it's practical. I wanted this to make it practical since it's New Year. You know, we're ready to go. I hope you guys are. I am ready to go to the next stage of my own experience and my own way of manifesting things in the world. And I'm going to continue externalizing on a daily basis, whether it is through journaling, through talking to myself, talking to you, talking to my friends, working out, breathing deeply, meditating, purging stuff out all the time so that the universe can rush in and fill it in with some majestic goodness. And I wish that for all of you in this new year, so that you may move in leaps towards anything that you desire and towards some things that are really truly good for you and nurturing. Take good care, stay connected, and remember to always let your inner compass guide you. Bye-bye.